All right, back at it. Athlete builder Jim, Lucas, and Theo. Theo Chronicles of Riddick is here today. I forgot about that reference. He reminded me right before we logged in here, so I appreciate that. Theo
No,
hails from the great state of New Jersey, came to the greater state of Indiana, where I'm at, and Lucas is at, by way of Notre Dame. Played football there, running back and receiver, and then graduated to the league, played 9 years. 2013 to 2021, started off with the Lions, Broncos, and then Raiders. Been around, did a lot of
definitely
things,
have.
ups and downs, a lot of
Mm.
things to share. And here's how I know. Here's how I met Theo. My guy that trains with me predominantly all the time, Brian Weist. We brought in this other guy, Stefan. And Stefan's a big jujitsu guy, and he had trained with us before, but he hadn't been training, lifting. Like he's technically sound with jujitsu, but wanted to get stronger, more powerful. I ran into him, and I'm like, "Hey, dude, come back to the gym. You can train with me and Brian. Let's just get after it." And he did. And one day, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a month ago, he's like, "Hey, you want to have Theo Riddick on?" I'm like, "I know him, running back, receiver, right?" Because I'm older, and it's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Yeah, for sure. We want someone that played at a high level. It's all we ever want is people that did things at a high level to find out how do you do things at a high level." And so he connected us with Theo, and we're lucky and blessed to have him on today. Theo, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Happy to be here.
Let's get right into that. Notre Dame. I told him I grew up Catholic. My whole family, St. Ignatius in Cleveland, all boys school, and lovers of the Dome. My wife got turned down. My daughter got turned down, and I was like, this is our second guy, Notre Dame from Jersey, played there, and then went on to the league. So they're still, and even like godparents to one of my kids are Notre Damers, and played football there too. But kind of a love hate. You can take it personally, and your kids get denied, but still awesome institution. Um, the first question I have is, what was your welcome to Notre Dame football moment? You were like, you come from high school, you're doing well, you're a 4-star recruit. What's your moment? You're like, oh shit, man, this is a different animal here.
Well, I got to say, going into camp, that freshman year. Now, mind you, this is when you still had doubles, right? So you had practice at, I believe, like 8 o'clock in the morning. You rest up, hit your meetings, try to recover. Probably have another meeting right before, but then practice around like 3 o'clock. Now, mind you, practice gets done around like 5, goes all the way in 10 around. It goes all the way till about like 10:30. Bed checks at 11. You do it all over again. However, we're doing 9-on-7, right? So it's literally a defensive drill. I'm a freshman, so you got to go up there with the starters. And we had this huge guy named Brian Smith at the time. He was a linebacker, ranked like third or fourth middle linebacker in the mock draft, and he talked a lot, right? So then I talked a lot, coming from Jersey, right? I don't back down from anything. One of my biggest qualities, I think, is that I'm very fearless, and sometimes it's a bad quality to have, right? Depending on who you're mouthing off to. But I remember it was like a 42 blast, and it was more of a draw. And when I tell you, before I can even get the ball, I just remember my head, back of my head, just hitting the ground. What Brian Smith did was he blitzed the A gap, and the fullback whiffed, and I didn't see it because I was looking at the safety. I don't know what I was looking at, to be honest with you. With so many things moving so quickly, but when I tell you, I felt like I was concussed, XYZ. And I just remember I came home that day during camp, and I'm like calling my mom, like, I'm at that time, I'm like a buck 90,
Mm.
right? So I'm skinny. These guys are juniors, 20, 21 years old. I'm just arriving from high school. And I was just like, I just remember telling my mom, was, if I got to take this type of pain day in and day out, I don't think I can last. So for me, that was my kind of wake up call. Like, I need to hit these weights,
Right.
right? And I need to take it way more serious because kind of just like the coast to things, I felt like when you have natural talent, it's kind of a thing you do until someone snaps you out of it, either a coach or a player or a parent, right? And I think I was in that phase where I achieved everything I wanted to achieve in high school, thinking I was the man going to college. And it was like, whoa, slow down, Tiger. It was like one of those moments. So, yeah, I would say that Brian Smith, he annihilated me.
that come to Jesus moment, or come to Notre Dame moment, or come to any moment. There's a different moments in people's lives. You're like, well, shoot, man, my way of thinking could be wrong. And there's an event or a person says, hey, you might need to check yourself here because you're going down the wrong path. Now, in your case, you're on the right path. You're just a little light. And if the fullback wouldn't have whiffed, you probably would have been spared that. But it probably woke you up and
Yeah,
said,
I was
hey,
hard to tackle,
right?
for sure. But man, when I tell you, as I talk about it, those same feelings and pains are just revived to the max as we speak. So,
Mm.
very vivid moment, I can tell you that.
How
How
much did
about,
you
go ahead, Lucas.
how much just curious, I'm sure we'll get to this point later, but when you left Notre Dame, how much did you weigh?
I was about 207.
207? Okay.
Yep, 210. Yep.
So
Yep. I
almost a
mean, you got to
10%
understand that
increase.
you're hitting. I mean, the weights is a whole another story, right? So
Oh yeah.
I think the X factor in major D1 programs is obviously uh uh the meals in terms of meal preps, things of that nature, protein, things that's provided, and then I think also most importantly the strength coaches, right? They're always a step ahead, or currently parallel to what the current Olympians are doing, right? Like one year we'll come in there and it'll be just mostly traditional lifts, right? And then the next year we got a new strength coach, and from there we start doing functional lifts. And I think functional lifts obviously have a parallel to the game more so than just the stationary bodybuilding lifts where players get stiff and
Mm-hmm.
then they start having injuries or pulled muscles and things of that nature. So those two X factors are huge, and that's why I was able, and along with other players, were able to just bulk on weight. I mean, you had to kind of slow down a little bit, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Would you say you kind of need both a little bit? You need on one side you gotta get big enough and strong enough and powerful enough with the main lifts, and then you also gotta evolve that with the more functional movements so you
Well,
can
it's a
apply
hybrid.
so you can apply it.
Yeah, well, you want to be a hybrid, right? I think the thing with functional lifts, you can, add as much weight as you want, right? To stress whatever like body movement that you like. That's not that gives you more of a playing position or
Mm,
motion, right? I mean, one thing I dislike most about lifting, this particular lift in general, is just the bench. If you're not an offensive lineman, there's it's you're rarely pushing someone off you like that,
right.
right? If you're a receiver, I mean, that's an offensive pass interference. If you're a defender, usually, a guy you can most likely whiff,
Mm-hmm.
right? So just from those objectives, I mean, if you're not a linebacker or a defensive lineman or offensive lineman, I don't think that lift should really matter.
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion.
You got to have your chest and overall body strong enough, so it helps with that. But in terms of application, for sure, you don't see receivers running down the field, pressing, right?
100%.
Yeah, you don't
I
see
mean,
that.
you see some of these guys, even receivers, those that do the bench test, and let's just say they get to 15 to 20 plus. I mean, most likely those guys aren't really good blockers,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's just like where's the correlation? So that's just my 2 cents on it. I mean, I'm not the smartest guy in the room in that field, so
Gotcha.
but as going through it on a daily basis, that was one lift I totally disliked. I mean, you've seen so many guys tear pecs, you know what I mean, left and right, rotator cuffs. Uh, it just doesn't really make sense.
That's the thing, there's the lift and then there's how do you apply it, right?
Mhm.
We had a guy, I was at this conference this past weekend, and Anthony Schlegel played linebacker for Ohio State, and he was talking, he's like, he got to the league, and he's a 700 deadlifter, and he just loved getting bigger and stronger. And the coaches were like, you don't need that. You're 200 pounds more than you need on that lift. Do some other
Mhm.
things here that you can apply better to your craft. You already checked that box. You have these other boxes you haven't checked. Bring those up, those limiting factors. You're going to be a better, well-rounded football player. And he told us all about it. He was like, well, I just kept lifting how I like to lift. That's great, but how do you apply it? It's all there's not the National Lifting League, it's the National Football League, right? You got to play,
Exactly.
you're playing football, not out
and,
there,
and it's more based on athletic ability,
yeah.
right? The game is spaced out more, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's how can you handle space? And most guys that are I consider top heavy muscle heads, can't really change direction,
Mm.
right?
There's a
So
lot of that.
you might get a few of those guys, but most of them can't. And not only that, just running north and south vertically, you're more likely to pull a hamstring or strain something, right? So those are just things that I see a lot from defensive guys and DNs that, look like Tarzan, 6'5", spray on abs, but the biggest thing is they can't stay healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I've
Yep.
seen that before.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say where I was at or, but I was working at a school, a big school. And we had a guy that was like 6'5", 6'6",
Mm-hmm.
defensive end. He's played in the league now, but I mean, just strong as shit. The fastest dude on the team,
Yeah, running a
shredded.
4.5.
I swear,
Like,
like it's
yeah,
unbelievable.
like,
And
come on.
camp, he just blows his knee out, or something like that.
Telling you.
He ruined his. It took him 2 years really to get back to it, and it's interesting to see. You ain't live seen that guy that you're talking about in real
Yeah,
life.
dude. I mean, I seen them by the dozens, bro.
Yep.
And yeah, so just that's why I kind of early on when you're younger, you got more energy, right? Your recovery level is so quick, right? So like who I was when I was 21 when I came in the NFL, right? To when I ended it at 30, bro, by 25, I couldn't do the same workouts, right? Like the body would respond differently, right? It would overcompensate. So then that's when I started jumping into more of the functional fields, right? Instead of sitting here trying to bench, 375, 400 pounds, right? I'm on dumbbells at 60, repping out 4 sets of 16 or something like that, right? Like lower weight, more production, and I was still looking just as big or if not skinnier. In terms of body fat percentage, but my mass was identical, right? So once I started to see that, it was like, why stress the body? The body is already naturally inflamed because that's just the sport we play, right? So why would I make it any worse? So yeah, I mean, I try to put my 2 cents into it, you know. But yeah, I mean, that's what I came out of it with.
Jim, I know you're trying to get to a point,
No, I'll
but
just listen.
I think it's interesting, because like I work with high school athletes, and where I'm at, and my kids are limiting factors is mobility and strength. We've got incredible. We just had a kid go to Notre Dame last year. Yeah, he went to Notre Dame last year. He's getting reps in as a freshman now. Um,
What's his name?
Tete, Tete Johnson,
What position?
corner, number 16.
Okay, I haven't seen him. I mean,
He's
it's
getting
probably not
some.
watching.
He's
Okay.
probably he's getting some playing time. He's not the starter, but I think he's in rotation. I think he's backup, third, somewhere in
I
there.
mean, he's still young,
Yeah,
freshman, that
yeah,
position,
yeah. But
you need a lot of experience.
what I was saying is, I think it's interesting that I deal with high school kids that need mobility and they need strength, and that's at the end of the day, at the end of the 4 years, that's what they need. Um, you talk to elite athletes, guys that have been in the NFL, guys that play at the highest level, how they really maybe you're not a strength coach, or maybe you didn't do kinesiology and stuff like that, and you don't, it's not your background, but how these athletes are so in tune with their bodies, and they make sense out of what they're doing, when it comes to working out, knowing their bodies and saying, hey, maybe this isn't best for me, but I can still maintain strength, get stronger, and not have to do what is traditionally put on the lift card.
Yeah. I
And
mean, I
it's
think the key thing is being able to modify, right? And that's where you got to be fluid, right? So just because, guys are doing hang cleans, right? You can do what's those things called, like power cleans,
yeah,
or
Clean
yeah,
you
pulls.
get
clean
what I'm
pulls.
saying? It's the same act,
Clean
right?
pulls, yeah.
But it's just, let's just say you got a wrist injury,
Right.
right? You don't want to make it worse, right? I think they're pulls,
Clean pulls,
right?
Yeah,
yep.
Like
Clean pulls, yep.
pulls, correct?
Yep.
Same thing,
Same thing.
right? We're
Yeah,
getting the same thing done,
for sure.
but just doing it differently,
Yeah.
right? So that's the beauty of art, of learning your body, and the best thing is like being conscientious of how your body is changing, because it always is,
Yep.
right? Like it's a masterpiece, and it's always an unfinished job. right? And that's why, like, again, I'll go back to referring to how I was when I was 21, 25. I didn't need to get stretched 3 times a week, right? I was sitting there. I didn't need to hit the cold tub. You know what I mean? Every day. I was still in there 3 times a week, but I didn't need it every day.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Then next, the recovery wasn't the same. So now I needed it a fourth. And it's being able to adapt and accept. A lot of people keep thinking they're always in their prime because they feel good. But it's more so what you see your body reacting to on film. Are you hitting that number that you was hitting last year or 2 years ago in terms of miles per hour? So you start thinking to yourself, hey, I'm slowing down a little bit. Oh, maybe now I need to overcompensate in terms of the strength on my front hip flexors, right? So then I can see if I can get some power from there to see if that's maybe the missing link, right? So it's just, it's ticking and tuning things, or twisting and tuning things to see what works and what not. Because at the end of the day, you can't be father of time, right? So again, right, you want to check all those boxes before you sit here and just say, all right, right, I give up. This is just, a toll over time type of thing. So yeah, it's fun, man. It's like I said, not to be redundant, it's always an unfinished project.
Man, a lot of outstanding points there. And I think the what you guys pointed out and tied it all together was that you need to have this knowledge, this constant journal, either not necessarily even in your head, but it has to be like on paper, what's working, what's not working. Now, if you're a kid and you can't squat or bench 135, okay, that's a problem. Or
Yeah,
you
that's
can't.
bad. I mean,
That's
yeah,
bad.
for
That's
sure.
bad. Do you need to do 5 and 600? Probably not. Right.
Yep.
So you got to be like in the game in some of those numbers. You can't be
Mhm.
running a 6 foot or a 6040, right?
For
Or
sure.
maybe Tom Brady did that, but whatever. So, but you got to be in the you got to be in the game
Had killer accuracy though.
on some of those metrics.
For sure.
And Darwin said it wasn't the strongest or the smartest that survived. It's the one that adapted the best. And you're a
Hmm.
different athlete, you said, when you got to Notre Dame and then to the league. So having that constant knowledge, that constant moving target, maybe you're running better routes by your 6th year. Maybe you can beat people because you watch their body language and their tendencies. So if you lost a step, you can still get open because you're better with your hand placement, right?
Correct.
There's always things you got to compensate for because you're not going to be perfect on this thing or on this other thing. But where can you get some wins?
For sure. And don't forget the adjective healthy too.
Healthy, right?
Right? You
Yeah,
can you can
right,
have all that, you can be explosive all you want, but if you got a sprained ankle, right,
right.
it's gonna be hard for you to run a comeback, right? So we deem the term finesse the route, right? Give the illusion, put your head down,
Mm-hmm.
right? Try to go as fast as you can in the first 6 or 7 steps, right? Instead of all 14, right? So again, it's an illusion game. I think health is definitely, a great component there. But yeah, overall, you just got to be able to adapt.
We had Zane Fakes on. He's an assistant strength coach with the Colts. He's All American at Ball State. And we asked him, what's the
That's
difference between
crazy.
training college kids and training pro kids? He's like, well, the pro guys, I'm not necessarily saying, hey, this is what we're doing today. There's a lot of asking questions. How are you feeling? What do you feel that you need? Because this many years, maybe you're 3, 4, 5, 6 years in the league, you're going to know yourself better than Zane does. And he's like, I need a lot of input. I'm not just sitting there dictating what we're doing today. I need a lot of feedback and what you think because you have more knowledge of yourself.
And that's
But,
fine and dandy, and that's great to hear, especially from a lifting coach. But most, man, it's like major pain, bro. Like
right.
what they say goes. They
Mm-hmm.
don't care how you feel, bro. I mean, I remember, we had an old team. I mean, our median age was about 29, 30. Right? That's old in the NFL. And these guys still had to run a conditioning test. Like there's like an unwritten rule, after I believe 7 or 8 years, like you should already know that that person's in shape, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or let's just say, you have the right to practice for 3.5 hours. Well, it would behoove a team, I believe, that's older to be in and out, right? On the field, off the field, right? So you would condense practices um as much as you can, right? Less injuries, less wear and tear, right? And then guys get to be more into into meetings and talking amongst each other, because that's where the game is usually won and lost, right? Because you need communication on those minute things where you need to elaborate on so like both can get on the same pages. Offensive line making calls with running backs, quarterbacks, etc. Right? So it's able to like speak your own language, but also speak in a language that we all understand. Right? So that's why I think the game is really won from all these teams. However, most of my personal experiences, lifting coaches don't give a damn. Like, I mean, you can go in there. I vividly remember this, bro. And I kid you not, I was so shocked. Now, you tell me this, Lucas. Is this not outrageous? So we just got done playing a game, right? Our defense played about 110 snaps, right? Now, mind you, the median snaps that an NFL defensive team is usually on the field for is around like 60 to 70, 80 if it's, they're really rolling. 110, 115, you're pushing it. It's almost 2 games in one, right? This ain't Black Friday, right? So we come in that next day. Bro, we got the offensive defensive line benching and squatting at their 90% max.
Too much intensity.
I've seen that. I've seen that before. I've seen that in person. I've seen that at the college level, the day after a game. Like I've seen that before.
How does that make sense?
Yeah, it's it is college NFL you're talking about?
NFL.
Ooh.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, man, that's a tough one, man. I don't know if that's what I would do.
And you're already older, right? You're already older, right? You're going against grown men. You're going at the best of the best, right? You probably got no more than 83 other players. You know how many people in this world? 83 other players that's on rosters, right? Because PFF, you go on TV, they give you a grade, right? There's a number at an 80-something, right? That you're going against. So no matter if they're on a bad team or not, the caliber of talent is through this damn roof. No matter how you want to call it, right? And then I think it's just asinine that the next day, I mean,
not even 24 hours later.
That's bad.
I don't understand that logic. And it was, and again, we've seen it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And just as a player, it's like, bro, maybe I got a light AC joint. Maybe, and they're not modifying anything.
Right.
And you got to do every lift. They're counting every rep. I mean, it was like being treated like a child. But I guess it is what it is. But I never understood things around that nature. So to hear that you now have coaches that are more open-minded, that are more, I guess, player coaches, we like to deem them. I mean, that's excellent to hear because we need more of that.
Yeah.
I'll give you a story again. Sorry, I'm talking more than you guys, but hey,
that's all right.
Let me tell you everything I love to talk about. So I gotta give him his props, man. Great coach, Coach Caldwell. So we were in the middle of the season. I think we're like kind of towards the end, like game 10, whatever, week 10. And as you know, that's a long season. Your legs are already fucking shot. I mean, you're just out there, right? Until Sunday hits, and then you can get your juice and everything flowing. We come in on practice on Wednesday, which is usually like our longest practice, the most running. It's a tough one. He went up to the practice squad guys and asked them, how are your legs feeling? And they were, obviously drained. They're doing more work than us. And then he literally cut down periods. Just so if your legs are shot, I know my offensive guys' legs are shot, right? Because you're running after them, right? And they got to be running in order for you to run after them. So that means I got 2 guys running. No matter if you're sore, if you have anything from being really sore or any type of soreness, still sore, right? I need you fresh, right? His favorite adjective was fresh, right? And he gave us a story when he coached back then. I forget what school. But basically, all these D-backs were running like 4.4s, 4.3s, and the slowest D-back was a 4.5 guy. Pulled his hamstring, was out like 4 weeks, 5 weeks. And he came from an old school background, like more is more, right? This is when he kind of developed and inherited the philosophy that less was more, right? 4 or 5 guy pulls his hamstring, comes back 3rd or 4th week in camp, and he's flying past everyone. All the guys that's running 4.2, all the guys that's running 4.3, right? Right there, he was able to gauge the temperature in the room without a thermometer, right? Which I think is brilliant. And I think that's a missing art in a lot of major collegiate programs, and then the NFL, right? Understanding the morale of a team, right? Knowing what to say, when to say it, right? I think a lot of guys don't have that quality. I think it's overlooked.
Well, nowadays everything is based on whatever the catapult unit or whatever the computer, the little device that you wear in your pads say. Everything is based off of a number coming, that's reading your player load and your max velocities and your contacts all that stuff. Everything is dictated off of that kind of stuff now because technology's kind of taken over everything.
It really has.
That's what me and Jim have talked about this a lot. Like, I don't think a lot of coaches anymore. I mean, people are having conversations with athletes about how they feel and dictating the plan moving forward based on how your players are feeling. And ultimately, at the end of the day, that's kind of what it is. That's probably the most important thing is, it's not saying it's like you got to cater to every single feeling or every single thing that doesn't feel good.
For sure.
But at the same time, it's like you said, if everybody's sluggish and the morale is down, and you probably want to change what you're doing because you're probably not going to play well on Sunday.
It's not how hard can you train. It's not how hard can you play. It's how hard can you train and play, recover, and train or play hard again.
Thank you.
Again, so if I'm not going to max my squat out on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday. I'm not going to max my squat out the following week. Like, I might do something different, but it's how much can you train and do it again. Theo, my next question was, because that's only been one in there, which is pretty fun. What's your welcome to the NFL moment? Because you had your welcome to Notre Dame and Smith lit you up. Because now it's different, right?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, much different. So I'll answer the question a little bit, but I'll give you a few. You know what? I'll just answer right off the back. Rookie year, Avi. We played the Vikings twice that year. Adrian Peterson was still playing.
Oh, dang.
He was actually coming off his ACL tear, and he didn't play any preseason snaps. Any. Now, mind you, this might be one of the best defenses I've ever seen in the league. And statistically, it'll tell you the same. So we were top 5 that year in defense. We had Ndamukong Suh, Tully Levy, man, why am I forgetting his name? He was a D tackle from Auburn, ended up having heart issues. But he was like first round, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, our defense was top. We just got Ziggy Ansah from BYU. We had Darius Slay. I mean, Delman Smith. So we had all these guys, right? Basically, what I'm trying to tell you, we had animals. I'm talking about all SEC teams from the South. Just letting you know, right? So they was humming. First carry of the damn game. Adrian Peterson takes that thing 80 yards. And he just, when I tell you he ran through our defense like it was nothing. To me, I remember one time we tipped the ball, right? And he was going up to jump for it, right? Like legit vertically. And it gave me like an anime type of like visual. It was almost like it was like on some Super Saiyan. I swear, it's like the ground almost shook. I kid you not. I'm not over exaggerating. And mind you, at that time I'm playing special teams. That was the worst game I ever played. Because I was just so starstruck at how explosive, how big, how fast, how quick. And then on top of that, he's coming off an ACL injury, and I think it was the fastest recovery of any person at that time.
Dang.
So then I was just like, again, call my mom. Hey, you know what NFL stand for? Not for long. Right? We will not be here long if that's what I got to do. My next one I gotta throw him underneath the bus because he's a domer also. Justin Tuck, right? So I'm on special teams. We're on punt as a rookie, and I'm on the wing, and they kept the defense.
Oh yeah, you're good. Yep.
Oh, it was like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So then I'm on the edge, and Justin Tuck is there. Now my legs are like trembling. I mean, this guy's like 6'6". You know what I'm saying? 280. Bro, I'm 5'9". You know, I'm 205 at that time. And they were known to like really go after punts. So we snap it, and I try to cut him. And he goes, if you try to cut me again, what did he say? He said, if you cut me again, motherfucker, I'm gonna run through you or something like that. I don't give a fuck that you went to Notre Dame. Like something like that. Something along those lines. Like explicit.
Right.
Right? They do it again.
Oh God.
Fucking run straight through me, bro. I'm talking about manhandle me, bro. I mean inside hands. I mean, bro, looked like I was levitating, bro. Yeah, it was just I mean, to me, I felt powerless as a grown man. I mean, come on. Like he was moving me like furniture. That's crazy, man.
Right.
That's crazy. I thought I hit him with everything I had. Wasn't enough. So that was mine. Like that was,
Gotcha.
that to me, that was more like, all right, I need to hit the weight room. I need to like learn the science of the game, hand placement, right? When to strike timing. Um, Things they like to do to younger guys, right? Some, because they like to finesse. Most just like to do power rushes, right? Knowing when to slap the hands down, right? Just the fundamentals of the game versus trying to be imano, because that doesn't work anymore.
At the highest level, that expertise and knowledge becomes more and more critical, whether it's knowledge on your body, knowledge on your nutrition, knowledge on how you handle jet lag, knowledge on every little component of the game, right? What's it like in this direction, the wind, the different kinds of turf, all of it matters. All of it matters at the high level. I
Yes, the
got two
detail.
questions. I got two different questions. We haven't gone through this with other athletes before, but I think that's important that those that listen, those are trying to get better, they get some better expectations. So first is a two-part question, and the second one is the same question. You're a college student. One, during the season, talk about what a standard week looks like, just broadly, and then like a day in the life. Like what's a practice day look like, or a game day. Like, what's the volume of work? You got classes, you got food, you got practice, you got all this stuff.
Well, it's a
Give
lot.
people,
It's
give
I don't
people.
think people understand all that goes into it. So, first thing is morning workout. So you would have that around 6:30 to about 7:45. You would then have class starting at either 8:15, 8:30. You then have class from 8:30 all the way until about 1:30, 1:45. From there, we would have meetings at 3. So you would try to squeeze in more like a lunch or something small right before then. Then you would have your meetings. Practice would start around, I would say 5:15, all the way until probably 7:45. You would then have study hall training table at 8:30 until 10:30, right? And then after that, you still got work to do because 2 hours is just not enough time to get all the work done. You got to understand that these teachers actually wrote these books, right? Or actually, you know what I mean? Like editors
Oh yeah.
of this book. So you couldn't
Mm-hmm.
just go to Spark Notes and say, hey, let me get a synopsis of what this book is about. No, that wasn't working.
Right.
No, you had to go read those 100 pages, 150 pages. Now, mind you, it's 15 credits, so you got 5 classes, right? So it's 3 credits per class. So you're on a full load. And it's extremely tough because you're trying to balance, nutrition, structure with work, right? And then also learning a playbook and knowing what you have to do this week because, what made our offense very difficult was it was all sign language. Like everything was signals, right? So that was extremely hard because this signal would mean something different that next week, right? So just being on top of your game and also still trying to be um, performing well in your classrooms was a huge challenge. Your social life there was none. There was absolutely none. You barely had time to text your mom, say hi. It was more like hi and bye. Like you're on your like you're literally on your own amongst your brothers, right? And then like a practice, was well, I wouldn't say was easy by any means, but it was a lot of volume and a lot of teaching, right? Because a lot of us just didn't have the energy. I want to say because at our time we didn't have NIL deals, right? So we, as a student athlete, I remember you would get a stipend of $350, right? And that should last you from September all the way to the end of this December. There's no way you can do that, right? And then what made it difficult was the dining halls were only open at certain times. So if you got out of practice too late or you had a class at 8:15, 8:30, you can't you barely can have breakfast, right? Then let's just say you got classes back to back in the afternoon, all the way until 1:45. The cafeteria is open from I believe 12 until 1:30. So that was a huge challenge for us.
For sure.
And I think a lot of people don't talk about that as a student athlete, but like you're going to bed hungry.
It's different now because they'll have more food in their dorms, and like you said,
Well,
NIL
you have
deals,
training table now. You know what I
right?
mean? Like you got NIL deals. I mean, $350. Now, mind you, we had like the sixth highest grossing Burger King, 10th highest grossing Subway, and neither of them had like a dollar menu or like $5 foot long. None of that.
Right. Right.
So you're not getting any deals, right? So it was expensive, man, and it was tough sledding. But overall, I think the major stress was schoolwork. Classes are small; they don't demand less of you just because you're a student athlete. You're taking the same test on time. There's nothing extended unless like something major happens. They don't cancel class. They don't care if it feel like -30 outside. And
Right now.
you can have advisory saying you can't be outside for more than 2 seconds. I'm gonna tell you this: Notre Dame does not care. Notre Dame does not care. You better get there, bro.
Right.
Unless you want to hear from the head coach, you better find a way.
That's funny.
I remember listening to he was the running back for the Texans a couple years ago. Went to Tennessee. I can't remember his name. Really good running back. Um, but he was basically talking about his time at Tennessee was about the same. It was like the same thing. How you got all these fans, you filling up the stadium at Tennessee, huge stadium, and nobody's talking about how a lot of these college guys go back to the dorms and they're hungry. And they're not eating. I don't
Yeah,
know. It depends on where you're at, I guess, anymore. Because I know where the places I've been, they were. I mean, they had an infinite amount of food that they could eat. Whenever in 2019, 2020, they had all kinds of food and resources to eat
yeah, they had
with.
a plethora of things. I mean, we didn't. And then on top of that, you had the NCAA that made it extremely hard as well, because let's just say a coach saw you walking in, that cold weather, -38, or feels like -38. They weren't able to pick you up and take you to your dorm. They weren't able to pick you up and take you to your apartment off campus. That was an NCAA violation. Let's just say you're going out to eat, right? You're there with like you and your buddy, a few teammates, and their family just wants to take you out, right? Just because of generosity, right?
Right.
It's an NCAA violation.
Dang.
So it was like, how are we supposed to get food when most of us don't really come from backgrounds that are financially developed, right? So we don't have an outsource, of income. But yet, I mean, our bookstore is making $1 million a game, right? Like
Right.
that makes you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's a
It's fucked
perfect
up.
oxymoron. It's like what the like how is this? But yet I'm over here eating bagels, peanut butter and jelly bagels after a game.
Yeah. It's evolved a lot since then. You're not even
Oh
that
my
old.
god, greatly,
Yeah.
greatly, and I'm so happy for it. I wish there was more sanctions on it, but for them to open up the gate, I think is good enough. Now they gotta reel it back in.
We had Devon McDonald on. He's out of New Jersey. He played at Notre Dame, and he's from Jamaica originally. And so when he got recruited, it was a fall game that he went to, and it was unseasonably warm. And he's like, "Hey, South Bend." He didn't know geography very well.
Yeah.
South Bend, and it's warm in November. All right, cool.
Yeah, he thought it was
Th-
Florida, huh?
this is the place for me. He gets there the next year, and it's fucking cold. That wind comes off Lake Michigan and travels over to South Bend. Snow's coming.
It's tough.
Snow is coming, and he's like, "I don't even have the right coat. Like, what is all this?"
Dude, it's crazy, man. That lake effect snow is no joke.
Yeah, there's
No
tons of
joke.
it.
And
Yeah.
I also don't think people understand how windy it is there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think people give it that much credit, but like man, it can get extremely windy like consistently on a day-to-day basis.
So like it's Friday. You're traveling away. You're playing at Michigan, and the Saturday game. I gotta think like Friday night you're gonna have some meetings, but you're probably even doing homework in the hotel room
Oh yeah.
on
So
Friday. On
so
Friday, so you can handle it. So when you come back Monday, you're good to go.
correct. So to finish your question, so let's just say like we're going on the road, right? We would travel Friday, right? You'll fly out Friday afternoon, late afternoon after you have dinner with the team. Once you land wherever you want to go, let's just say we're playing Oklahoma. Like once you land, you get to the hotel, you'll probably have like an hour and a half to go see friends and family if they're there, unwind, get more body work or more film study with the coach if need be. So you have that little free time. Then you have meetings for about an hour. It's kind of like the 2 minute drill on Sports Center where you just kind of run through everything you guys been doing the whole week, making sure everyone's touched up on new details, if there was provided, and then you get another hour on the back end. But bed check is about 10 o'clock, 10:30. So it's really relaxed on Fridays. Like Fridays are the days that you kind of look forward to, right? You're like, yes, I made it to the finish line. You can actually kick your feet up for almost a day, and then you got to get them running again. So Friday is a little more relaxed. Everyone's not really uptight. But Monday through Thursday, oh man, dude, I mean they're sticklers, and that's one thing I kind of, I don't think I've ever seen myself coaching college because it's so reliant on emerging adults. Like it doesn't matter how great of a coach you are,
Right.
right? Like if they mess up, that's on you no matter what. So and that's a tough pill to swallow.
Yep. Yep. Um, do you have from the places you played at? There's small schools, there's big schools. It's even cool that you guys always play. Not you guys play Navy because of that agreement from a century ago. So there's a lot of great traditions. Is there a venue or a atmosphere where you're like, man, that was so awesome? A home, against there's the Catholics versus the convicts. Is there a home atmosphere game and what's the away game? You're like, man, that was sweet to play in that environment. That was insane.
So I gotta say we had a home game, but it wasn't technically home. We ended up playing at the Yankees Stadium.
Oh
It
wow,
was their new stadium. It was the first year it was built. And I think we played Navy there. So that was like legit the first time new stadium. I thought that was extremely cool. Fan base traveled well. A lot of family being from Jersey made the trip. I mean, to see like Jeter's locker, see all these guys' lockers were just like phenomenal. Be able to touch it, So
right?
it was unreal in that aspect. Playing away, I gotta say the big house, man. I'll never forget. I mean, I think it was a first night game. It was my junior year there. I think it was like 114,000 people.
Insane.
It was huge, and you couldn't you can be legit 5 feet away from me, or you know what I mean, left or right, whatever. Any person that was adjacent to you could not hear you talk. It was like legit. Someone It's like you being in a tornado and you just got wind just blowing through your ear hole. I've never come across a feeling like that. Like you legit felt death. Like there was nothing you can hear. Like I'm not lying to you. Like those windy days, right? When you're just trying to yell and it doesn't
Yeah,
travel.
right.
Like at the end of the game, we all had no voice, none, like none, and we end up losing that game. It was an epic game from Robinson. They came back and beat us, The last like 25 seconds at the 20, dude. Unreal.
Mm,
It was
painful.
unreal. But yeah, I think to me personally, there's nothing like the big house. Nothing.
All right, fast forward. You're a pro now. Finances are a little different. Finances are a little different.
Things are coming in.
Things are coming. Yeah, things are working. Uh, Day in the life like for a pro versus college. How's that different?
Way more lenient. Not really on you as much. It's kind of more so of who you will be is dependent on all the work that you want to put in. Like specifically, they're not begging you, to pay you millions of dollars,
Right.
right? Like anybody would. Life is you would come in just like you would do in college, right? Mm, I'll say like 12 back to back is terrible meeting times. But legit from like 8:30 all the way until 12, you would have lunch. Um, then you would have another meeting and you would have practice usually around 1:32 until 4:30. Have another meeting all the way until like 5:30 and then your day is done. So you had more time for recovery, you had more time for film study, um, or you had more time to be more of a family man because you're literally away from your family all day long. So yeah, and I really like that schedule, and even more so, let's just say, to answer your question like I did with college, on away games, we would actually leave a little earlier, so you would have way more downtime, right? So you would get to these spots or these locations wherever you're playing by like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and you don't have meetings until 8, 9 o'clock. So again, you have more time to like go over the playbook, recovery, see family, things of that nature.
Do you have a venue or a place like, hey, that was cool, outdoor in the rain or out, in this dome, or, you're at Dallas Cowboy Stadium, it's out, amazing. It's like its own little city. Is there an
I gotta
environment
say,
where you're
I
like,
gotta
oh
say
man,
the
that was
Chargers,
sweet?
man. I gotta say the Chargers. That stadium is unreal. A whole nother level. Just completely beautiful. Technology is through the roof.
Mm,
Like seriously. They got spots in there that like adapt to your body temperature. They have suites that like adapt to your body temperature. It's wild. But
that's crazy.
yeah, it's they spent every dime in that, man. And it shows. It really does.
You didn't like playing at Lucas Oil Stadium at the Colts?
No, I think you guys gotta reamp it up, man. Like it's like, come on. It's been the same for so long. I love the retractable roof, but outside of that, I just feel like it can be way more appealing, right? From the outside.
It looks just kind of like an old factory building.
If you didn't have obviously the pictures in front of it that like showed, running backs and receivers or whoever's playing on the team, I don't think a lot of people would think that's like a football stadium, to be honest with you. Like it gives me the same impression. I don't know if you've ever been to Denver. Have you been to Denver before?
I've been in Denver, not the stadium. Yeah,
Okay, so like not the NFL team Broncos, but more so the Nuggets. If you see where the Nuggets play, you would never think like that's
that's
an
a
NBA stadium at all. You would think
dang.
that's like a warehouse or something. So it gives me that type of impression.
All right, so painfully, I'm almost 50, right? Been born and raised in Cleveland, so I'm a Browns fan.
Yeah.
So they usually just suck ass year after year. So lay it on me. Thoughts on that place? You know, yeah, lay it on me on the Browns. I'm born and raised in Cleveland, and they suck all the
Oh, that's
time.
unfortunate. That's
Yes, it
unfortunate,
is.
brother.
Yes, yes. But wherever you grow up, it's your identity. Like you like the East Coast because you
No,
grew
that's
up
a
there, right?
choice. No, that's a
Yeah.
choice, bro.
Yeah.
Like that's a choice. That's a choice. You choose to pick that. No
I
way.
do. I do.
No way.
I don't make good choices all the time. That's
So I
true.
mean, are you asking me what I think about the Browns?
No, I know they're bad. I know that part already.
I
You
think that's a
know,
rhetorical question.
right? No, I'm not even like the place to play. Like when if you ever played there, like what were your thoughts on the atmosphere there in the stadium, etc.
Browns again, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean,
Be
I
honest. It's
mean,
okay. You're not gonna hurt me. I know. Go ahead.
I want to be politically correct, but I mean, it was nothing
Ah,
special. It was nothing special.
just that was sweet of him to say it like that, wasn't
You know,
it? That was,
I mean,
and
I
he
think
being
another
kind.
stadium. I think another stadium that would shock you that I think is equivalent to the Brown Stadium is the Chiefs Stadium. Like the Chiefs,
Mm,
have you been
Really?
there?
that's an old one.
Yeah, dude.
Isn't it
They
the biggest one though?
It's
is
loud
it?
too, though, right?
It is loud. It is loud.
That's what
But
they say.
man, they need renovations.
It's old.
All that money over there, they need
Yeah.
renovations, bro. It's bad news bears over there.
All right. So I have
Interesting.
a big question here. Now, when I always send and you know this, I send out this questions in advance, so we give us some things, discussion points, etc., and about mindset and training. And you hammered on discipline a number of times. So, who's like a player or some habits that you learned in college and pros? Like, you know what? I learned how to be a high level college athlete by doing these habits, and I learned how to be a professional working elite athlete by doing these things because I could just have been skating along, but I had to elevate my game and my work ethic. What I did in high school sucked compared to what I do in college, and the same is true for to be a pro. So there's those that are listening. What do you gotta? What disciplined habits do you have for those guys that says, hey, do these things no matter what if you want to maximize or optimize your talent?
I don't think it's like something clean cut.
Sure.
I think it's more so of what necessarily works for you. So from my experience, I was trying to figure out the common denominator and what made players great, right? Just in general. And what I found out was film study and recovery. Without the intelligence of knowing what can happen and the anticipation, you're already one step behind. Already assuming, hey, you got a guy in a 3-eye, you know that usually if he's here, that's a saw blitz, right? So I'm not shocked by it, right? I'm not caught out of position. I'm prepared for it. So I think the ability to somewhat assume based on education that you gather, and then I think recovery. Um, there's nothing better than availability. I don't care how good you are, right? So hey, one week it might be a shoulder. Well, another week it might be your ankle. So it's different things, but it has to be predicated on your availability. I think also another component is the mindset of being a sponge, just to be able to just listen and not really talk. I think when we're young and we have so much energy and we're so excited, we miss a lot of lessons and blessings because we talk too much, right? Instead of just being able to listen and pick apart things in the message that's being told that may help you,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think those are all big components. And again, it's different for everyone. Um, and you got to have structure. All right? I say that because it's not enough hours in a day. Just isn't, right? Regardless if you don't have kids, if you do have kids, because if you don't have those type of responsibilities, the mindset should be, what can I be doing to get better, right? And that's an open ended question, right? I have yet to find a person that can answer that question for me. So you got to be doing something focused on achieving something else. Um, and then if you do have other obligations, it magnifies free time and the ways you take advantage of it. So again, it's a complicated question, but for me, those would be my components that I would say made me into a professional and made me grow up quick.
Usually, someone either has to teach you a lesson or you kind of learn it the hard way. Any of those
Well,
lessons, you're like, oh shit, man, you would
well,
not believe.
I gotta say one thing also. Now that you said that in terms of lessons, I also found a beauty in also living vicariously through a lot of people. right? So I didn't have to go make those bonehead mistakes because I just got done hearing a story of a guy that did XYZ and those are the results, right? So I think that's another component that I think if a lot of people implement it, right, you wouldn't see a lot of guys going broke after the NFL. You wouldn't see a lot of guys getting in trouble with DUIs, right? If they really implemented that into their thought process and their consciousness, or getting in
Yeah.
trouble in general,
Right. Right.
because the resources are endless, right, to prevent all of those things.
Yeah. Even if you're not an NFL player, Uber's pretty reasonable versus DUI, the cost, going to jail, and then maybe killing somebody, right? So, yeah, there's a
Yeah,
lot
for
of
sure, man.
just stop and take a moment and before you make that next step forward. Totally get that.
Yeah, and it's harder when you're younger because you got so much ego, you got so much pride.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
it's I'm the man. I'm invincible. We all felt it, right?
For sure.
We can all sit here and say like we all had that. I call it the $100,000 moment, right? At least for me, because when I first got that, I thought I was rich as hell,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then I learned taxes,
Mm-hmm.
and then 40 of that was already taken away, and I'm like, what the?
Right.
But I thought I had 100,
Mm-hmm.
right? But we all have, and when I did it, I felt like no one can tell me
Right.
like you couldn't tell me anything. I was parking in handicaps without a handicap sticker. It's just little things like that. Like I felt like I was invincible. Now I was doing, you know, innocent type of things in terms of mannerisms, right? That projected that, right? But I wasn't outside projecting that, but a lot of people do, right? When they're in the clubs or, when they come up with their, I had a Kia. I played in the NFL for 9 years. For 4 years, I had a Kia. Like I had the worst car in the lot,
That's all
right?
right.
Like people used to crack on me. Like I used to be like the background in like the team meeting, like
Mm-hmm.
my car, right? Because I had the worst one. Like everyone had Mercedes, Beamer,
Yeah.
Range Rovers, Lamborghinis,
Yeah.
all that. I'm running around making payments $200 a month on my little Kia, my little beep beep,
Right.
right? Like so. So I get it, when you first get something, because again, my first car was when I was 21 years old, when I made it to the NFL, right? And I wanted the nicest car, being drafted, again, ego, right?
Right.
Like the perception of what people think of you, right? Because of a status you're now in, or status quo that you're now in, right? When you pull up to, a restaurant, would you rather be in a Kia or a Mercedes F550,
Right.
right?
Well, for
When
sure.
I come out the Kia, nobody looks at me,
Cool.
right?
Right.
Usually the parking dude takes your car and just, boom, let's put this in the garage. I don't want nobody to see this, right? Like, but you come in with the S550, they like to keep it in the front for a little bit, right? So I get it. I get what it all entails, right? But I do think it does, provoke, a lot of guys, mainly the younger guys, because it's their first time touching money, to act in a manner that doesn't fit them well.
I didn't have money in college, and I do something stupid like, hey, let's do a route at the bars and let's do a pitcher race of beer. I'm like, all right, I'm in. Like, I make dumb mistakes even without the money. Like, so if you give me a whole bunch of it, well, now shoot. And so it's a blessing that you had that wisdom at an earlier age. John Stockton, the Hall of Fame point guard, he was driving pickup trucks that were 12 and 15 years old his entire career because he's like,
Yeah.
I'm saving my money. I'm not blowing it. I'm saving my money. I got retirement accounts. I got these investments. I got kids. Blah blah blah.
Yeah,
And so
100%. I mean, you have to, man. You got to always prepare for a rainy day. Um, but again, you also got to be taught that. Like, luckily, my Pop Warner coach, uh, Michael Dugan, is like my godfather. He's a financial advisor, so he was always on my ass.
right,
So again, you got to have great people in your corner. Luckily, I was blessed. If not, I can see why a lot of guys go down that route. I mean, you're getting all the attention, you're getting all the love, you're getting all the claps, affirmation. I mean, and you're getting the best looking things in the world that's saying you're amazing, right? But last year, right, when you didn't have a dollar in your name, you weren't getting any of that, So it just goes to show that, I mean, you got money, nobody gives a fuck about looks,
Right.
right? So I hope
Sure.
we come to an agreement with that and start to understand our worth and start to look for things that aren't just physical attributes,
For sure.
right?
Yeah, you get something a little bit deeper, a little bit more meaningful with you and and your God, or you and your family. Then you make some different choices.
For sure, 100%.
For sure. For sure. Uh, Plan going forward. You work get back into coaching at all? Is there any thoughts about that, or are you gonna
Yeah,
evolve? Because
more
I know
like high
you're
school, more like
okay.
high school. As my kid's 7 years old. Definitely want to start coaching him off the back, um, because I love it so much, and watching him play. After I retired, I kind of lost the love for the sport because it's so political, and so business. My first year after playing, I didn't watch any NFL game. I didn't even want to talk football. I was anti everything.
Yeah.
Um, and having him play kind of revived the kid in me again. Made me understand like my why. I kind of lost that, playing so much, doing so much for such a long time. I forgot to enjoy it,
Yeah.
So again, seeing that, kind of lit a fire in me. So yes, I definitely want to start young to at least like give my kid direction, and then hopefully, in the next coming years, I can work my way up because I would love to give back to high school kids, because I think that's where it all starts.
Yeah. Yeah. I talked
I try
to.
to tell kids all the time in high school, and I don't think they really understand it. And I remember being told this, and I overlooked it. But like, these are going to be your happiest times, your best times of your life. Like, and it's the only guaranteed time that you can play. It's the only thing. That's the only thing. And from there, like, people don't understand that, and they take it for granted. And then you get to college, and then if you don't know about politics, you will.
Oh
If you
yeah.
don't know about injuries, you will. Right? Like, so it's tough. So I try to tell these kids, like, man, like where you are is the moment. Stay in it. Take advantage of it. Cause the fun part of it lessens, and the
Yep.
business part heightens. So, and they're paying these guys out of high school now. $10 million to do it for Michigan? $10 million? And and they don't put it in. I mean, you got to treat these kids like trust fund babies,
Yeah.
right? Like if you make $10 million, right? I'm sorry to switch the subject on you, but let's jump into the NIL, right? I've been wanting to talk about this for a while. You got to put a sanction where, okay, you get 10% of that. Everything else, hey man, we're gonna put it in a fund, and you get it at a little. You get another 15% at 24, then 28, then 33.
Right.
Right? You spread it all out because you enhance financial illiteracy. Most of these guys don't know money at all. And then they become the grandmother or grandfather of the family overnight.
Yeah. People don't. You said people didn't know money when you got to the NFL at 22 years old. Now they're getting at 17, like that kid who's playing receiver for Alabama. He's 17, right?
Yeah, number
And
two. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So they're getting money at 17. At 17, my car got stolen. Never got another car until I went until college, right? So,
But
uh,
it's a different ball game, man.
your brain's not fully developed until 25. What's it like
Well,
at 17,
we're not
right?
even that. Let's not even go that deep, right? We're not let's don't mind those depths. Let's
Right.
talk about the classroom, because that's where you spend most of your time at, right? At that age, as an emerging adult. Give me one curriculum where they're teaching finances.
Sure. Right. Basics. Checking account, savings account, Roth IRA, like
Like
insurance. Right.
taxes,
Right.
county tax, state tax, federal tax,
Right. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's
right?
hard. That's hard.
CPAs. Like now you got to start having these kids at 16, 17. These guys got to have CPAs. These guys got to have contracts in place where, similar to McGahee, right? When he played, remember when they played Ohio State in like the Rose Bowl and whatnot, and he blew out his knee?
Oh yeah,
If he didn't
from
have a
Miami.
certain insurance,
Right.
right, on him at that time, his stock would have dropped, and
Down
he probably
bad.
went undrafted, but he got
Right.
drafted second round. So now you got to implement those type of insurances, but you don't know that if they're not being taught.
Right. I have a master's in finance. I didn't know that at that age.
Yes, I mean, but who's talking about it,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Yep. Congress
So
has
it's
made that.
baffling, to be honest with you. You're giving it's like giving just do the numbers, right? I'm all about statistics. Mostly 75% of people that win the lottery go broke in 3 years. So that should tell you everything you need to know. Got these kids hitting the lottery at 17, and then it lessens the desire to get to the next level. These guys think they already made it.
Right.
These guys drive nicer cars and dress better than these guys in the NFL. It's wild.
No,
Whole
Kia's
outfit
done.
be like $1,500. I remember I was going to Kohl's. Like my first 2 years, I was going to Kohl's, bro.
I like
I was
Kohl's.
going to Joseph and Banks.
Yeah, I like that place too.
Like, come on. These guys getting legit silk tailored suits, 1,500 2K shoes. That's just the suit. We're not even talking shoes.
So what needs to change then?
I think you gotta heighten. You gotta implement financial classes, regardless of how you like it or not, right? Then I also think you gotta have somebody come in that's like on a tenured of like a CPA, right, to understand tax codes, things around that nature. Because these guys think, just like I thought, I got $100,000, I get to blow the whole $100,000, right? They don't set aside the 40,000, right? And that's just in that category. Let's just say now you got to implement county tax, right? So I think the average county tax in a place just like California is around like 8 to 10%. So like your money is basically 50% is getting taxed 50% off the rip, and people don't know that. But yet you're gonna go spend $2,000, right, on a suit, and then $2,000 on or $1,500 on a shoe, and I'm sure you got multiple of them, right? So you do the math. Then on top of that, I'm sure they're taking care of family members. Come on, like I told you, you just became the grandmother and grandfather of the family overnight. Now people are calling you just to see if they can go to the movie theater. Like, aren't you a grown ass person? I'm not your mom and dad. Like, why can't you go to? Well, can I borrow a few up? Now everybody's problem is your problem, and
That's
it
terrible.
happens overnight.
Yeah, it's hard.
I don't know much about how NILs work. I don't know. I mean, that's way more money
So
than I know.
basically, what NIL does is, I mean, you're paying players, right? I'm giving you a large lump sum of $2 million, right? You get a contract, whatever the breakdown of it is. All right, you get a contract 4 year, $2 million, right? And then that as long as you keep balling, right? Depending if you ball or not, it's like a stock, right? Your price can go up. So now that you're valued at 2, you now can argue, hey, I want to restructure my contract because now I'm worth, and they got me going at this round. And it's flexible like that. It's not like, oh, just because you signed a contract, and I could be wrong, but this is my understanding, right? That like once your value goes up, they got to pay you more. You can negotiate.
Anyone can write the contract though, right? It's not from the school. It could be like a car dealership, right?
Correct. And that is unsanctioned. I mean, it's not really sanctioned properly.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of bad things. The ideology behind it is great, but how they went about it is completely wrong.
When did it start? Because it didn't seem like
2 years ago when the playoffs started.
I knew the NILs just started, but I know the vision for it was good, and I know, at what point did it start going bad?
Well, it was talked about for a very long time, and then they just rolled out the red carpet, and I mean, it's a wildfire, to be honest with you.
How'd they find a way to turn it into what it is now, and who started that, and how did it get to that point?
I mean, I think that's way over my pay grade. I think at the end of the day, they were getting tired of the argument that like players are bringing in so much revenue to universities and not getting it back, right? And they were just like literally like kicking a dead horse. And I think there was like some type of event that happened, but I can't vividly remember, that kind of like really put a lot of pressure and intensified things with the NCAA. and they just rolled it out.
Yep.
Like it didn't. It literally came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it wasn't stair stepped. It wasn't
Like at
staggered.
all. It was
They
nothing
just said
something like
they
it was
said
like, oh
fuck it.
yeah,
We're
it's
tired of
coming,
dealing. Yep.
and then it just dropped on everyone's front porch.
That's
And
right.
like imagine that as a college coach, right? Where
Fuck.
now you have what is it, 2 or 3 like portal, we call them portal gates, where you can transfer in the season. Think about that.
Mm.
Development is totally gone out the window now, too.
100%.
Yep.
And then the biggest thing that I think we overlook is we now choose and look at schools for financial gains versus the education. Right? So now art of knowledge is now lost and the dollar is valued more. Right? And that's why I said you got to have incentives. Hey, you get to year 2, right? You get that 10%. You get to year 3, you get another 15%. You graduate, you get the whole thing. Right? Like it's something. Because at the very end of the day, most of these guys are like, you know what? Let me get this money, right? And leave. Or some say, you know what? Let me stay longer and say F the league. Because I'm getting paid more.
Or some kids, maybe they don't go to the league, right? They're
Yeah,
good.
or they don't go.
They're
Or they don't
good,
go, right?
but they're like, hey, I got 5 years. I can get my master's degree, and I have some extra money. I'm gonna set myself up with a good job and profession, in year 6. I'm not going to the league, but I still got another 30, 40 years of life here of working. Let's do it that way.
But
I
that's
worked at
tough.
15
How many
years.
players think like that, though? I
Yeah,
mean,
no,
like,
not many.
because,
You're
I
right.
mean, at least, I don't know if things have changed, but during my time when we were in school, you didn't have time to get a job. Bro, you were home only a month out of the year. You had a
Mm.
week for Christmas, right? You had a week for spring break, and then you had all right. So it was I think like 5 weeks. Then you had 3 weeks at home in the summer, and then you were back on campus. I mean, what? Uh, I think it was over around like mid-May. You were back on campus by like mid-June.
Yeah.
So you couldn't do internships.
No, right.
Unless you wanted your spot to get taken.
Nobody wants that.
Right? Come on, you know how it is. Yeah,
Right.
go. Yeah, go over there.
Yeah.
And then you get replaced. So it's tough, dude. It's like, but I
Yeah.
think honestly, it has to go back on education because without a degree, no matter what's statistically what's proven is there's a 99% chance that you're going to get injured. Right? Statistically, you're only going to play in this league for 2 to 3 years. That's a head start. That's not forever. That's not fuck you money.
Right.
Right? I think only about what, like 40%, 30% see 2 contracts.
Or the second contract's big, and not
Come
many
on,
people
man.
get it.
Come on.
They say playing in the league isn't a career; it's an experience.
Yeah, 100%.
It's an experience.
100%. And if you're blessed to get a contract and give you FU money, save it.
Right.
Because it only comes around once.
So your son's getting older. You go in the weight room. What do you listen to when you train?
I'll be honest with you, bro. I don't listen to music.
Okay.
I'll be completely honest with you. I like to hear, and be very wholesome in where I'm at. To be honest with you, because my kids are always in my ear. It's just noise, 24/7. Right? Like I got 3. Like, come on, Lucas. Like, come on, bro. You know what's up. So I live for peace.
Yep.
This is as quiet as my house has ever been. So for me, the chatter that I can't control, I literally just kind of zone out. But yeah, I don't really like to listen to much, man. I would usually say my genre would be rap, but overall, if I'm in the weight room, like I wanna make sure I'm hearing myself, inhale and exhale at the proper times. Right? Like just little things. So I'm more like detail oriented than anything. So
what's a bucket list place you and your wife to go to that you haven't been to yet?
I gotta say the Great Wall of China, man.
Really?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think that would be insane, to walk, to see. I'm definitely gonna do it one day. For sure.
Favorite sport movie?
I gotta say Rudy, man. You know me, man. Underdog. Come on.
Right?
Come on, man. You know how I do it. Rudy. Sorry.
The You said you lost a little love for watching the NFL. Is there a maybe it's football, maybe it's not, but is there a sport you really like to watch?
Basketball,
Yeah.
my favorite sport to watch. Quick pace, athletic. And I think a lot of people for me personally, when you see these guys up close and personal, to see a real like 6'5", 6'6", can move, jump with length, coordination. Like I love our football players, don't get me wrong. But like I think basketball players have more fluidity in terms of movement than football players, especially in that height, because I'm not judging little receivers that are, 5'11", 6'2", 6'3". If you go get DNs, most defensive guys are around 6'4", 6'5" DNs. They don't move like that.
Mm-mm. Favorite athlete to watch any sport?
Got to say LeBron James, man.
Mm.
That's the only guy I know where like he's beaten the hell out of Father of Time, bro.
Yeah, he's
I
legit.
don't get it. Like I don't get it.
You have a favorite book?
I don't read much, man.
Okay.
I don't.
How about
I
a hero
probably
or
Dr. Seuss books to my
the
kids.
kids?
Yeah,
like those.
man. That's
Cat
all
in
we.
the Hat? How about like a hero or villain? Could be in a movie or a book, or it could be like a personal or family member.
Hero, gotta say my mother. Single mother, raised 5 kids. We all did well. Villain, I gotta say the Joker, man. Come
Everyone
on.
says the Joker. They love
Come on,
Everyone
man.
loves the Joker.
Come on, dude. That character's unreal.
What's your favorite lift in the weight room?
Squat.
Bench press.
No. Hey, come on, man. Don't insult me. I gotta say definitely squat though.
All
I
right.
hate it, but I love it.
Right. Do you have a favorite quote?
Treat others like you want to be treated.
Yeah. Golden rule.
Yep.
All right. Man, hey, Theo, awesome gift. We are 2 for 2 with guys from New Jersey and Notre Dame, where we learned a lot and had a fun time. So
I appreciate it, Joe.
And thank you for the gift.
You too, Lucas.
Thank you for the gift. Really enjoyed you guys. Any other parting words?
No, man, thank you. Hopefully I gave you guys some insight.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry I talked you guys' ear off. I got ADHD, so I just love to talk.
I love it.
But I appreciate you guys putting me on your platform, and I wish you guys the best, and thanks again.
For sure. For those that are got questions for us or prior guests or things in general, you can email us at info@athlete-builder.com. And as you know, right now, new book is launched, right? So Athlete Builder, The Blueprint to Build Champion Athletes. You can pick it up Amazon, Barnes & Noble, online, and hopefully it should be in stores here soon. Comes out Thanksgiving week. It's in pre-order right now, so thanks for those that have already made purchases. Send them to parents of coaches and parents of athletes and other coaches. But again, Theo, Lucas, another good episode, good time. It's my continuing education every Monday night, so it's been a blessing. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. You guys have a great night.
All right, we'll see you.
See you guys.